Good morning. I'm Kenzie Cookshouse, owner of Cookshouse Consulting, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My goal is to offer actionable insights, especially in light of the recent layoffs, and outline how Spotify can strategically realign its leadership, structure, and culture to sustain innovation and employee engagement. Here's what I'll walk through today. I'll briefly introduce the background, highlight the three most pressing issues, examine their impacts, and then present three core recommendations. I'll also share a roadmap for implementation, expected outcomes, and close with a few Q&As. Founded in 2006, Spotify has been globally recognized not just for revolutionizing audio streaming, but for its flat, agile structure. However, the December 2023 layoffs impacting 17% of Spotify's workforce signaled something deeper than a cost-cutting decision. It revealed cracks in the leadership approach, structural integrity, and cultural foundation. Employees began questioning their job security, and morale suffered, suggesting that very mechanisms designed to empower teams were no longer serving the organization at this scale. Autonomy, while powerful, is not a substitute for direction. As Griffin and others point out in their research on organizational behavior, autonomy must be paired with clear leadership, shared purpose, and psychological safety, especially in times of uncertainty. Without these, organizations risk developing into chaos where decision-making becomes fragmented and accountability fades. Spotify's situation shows a critical lesson that innovative structures must evolve alongside the company's growth. There are three interconnected issues to be identified. First, leadership and communication. Employees were left in the dark about layoffs, leading to uncertainty, fear, and disengagement. The lack of transparent, timely communication weakened trust and signaled a disconnect between leadership and the broader organization. Second, structural misalignment. Spotify's flat hierarchy once fueled innovation and autonomy. However, as the company scaled, this structure began to strain under the demands of growth. Without clear lines of accountability and coordination from leadership, teams lacked direction and alignment, making it harder to execute effectively at this communication structure. Third, psychological safety has eroded. When employees no longer feel safe speaking up or taking risks, innovation declines and stops creativity and open collaboration, both of which are essential to Spotify's culture of experimentation. This is not a failure of Spotify's model, but a failure to evolve it as the company matured. So what do we do? To move forward, three strategies are key. Invest in leadership development. Prioritize coaching style leadership trainings that equip managers to lead with empathy, clarity, and adaptability. In uncertain times, leaders must know how to guide without micromanaging, communicate openly, and build trust. Empowered leaders create empowered teams. Refine the structure. This doesn't mean abandoning the squad model, but evolving it. Introduce intentional integration points across squads and tribes to improve coordination, clarify accountability, and reduce duplication of effort. Growth requires structure, and that is flexible but focused. Rebuild psychological safety. Innovation thrives when people feel safe to speak up, experiment, or even fail. When failure is reframed as progress, risk-taking becomes productive. Each of these strategies builds on what Spotify already does well, but directly addresses the current breakdowns. This isn't about starting over, it's about evolving with purpose so the culture and structure can grow alongside the business. Looking at the implementation plan. In the short term, within 6 months, we recommend launching a leadership coaching pilot, gathering internal feedback, and holding Q&As to rebuild trust. In the long term, Spotify can shift the structure by introducing realignment and ongoing leadership coaching, while also mentoring cultural and psychological health through quarterly assessments. This isn't about slowing down, it's about creating the systems that allow you to speed up in the right direction. You've already laid some groundwork. This slide is about how to activate what we've discussed starting right away. Leadership coaching. Start with 15 to 20 leaders. Make it personal, focused on real conversation, not just a presentation. Partner with an external leadership coach or the internal leadership and development team. Collect anonymous pre- and post feedback to measure impact on the leadership coaching. Pilot a cross-squad integration role. This is a temporary coordination role that places someone across multiple squads whose job is to connect the workflows, identify redundancies, and ensure strategic alignment. This matters because squads currently operate with high autonomy but low integration, which causes duplicate efforts, misaligned goals, and inconsistencies. This role addresses the growing fragmentation without disrupting autonomy. We can do this by nominating 1 or 2 respected senior leads to rotate across the squads or tribes and have them track weekly meetings, overlapping projects, or team blockers in order to have a better picture on how to recommend alignment opportunities. Then, after 90 days, evaluate and provide feedback on the findings. Set baselines. If we're serious about change, we need visibility. Whether it's safety, engagement, or innovation speeds, what gets measured gets managed. I'd recommend a relaunch of Spotify's Employee Net Promoter Score survey. As of 2024, 45% of employees recommend your business, 26% are neutral, and 29% would not recommend this company. Those numbers are not bad due to the current events. But the concerning part to me is when I was looking at the lowest rankings, it comes from Hispanic or Latino ethnicity, tenure 1 to 2 year experience, and also experience over 10 years. This tells me that certain employee groups are feeling disconnected or underserved, and these aren't just random outliers. The 1 to 2 year tenure group likely represents new hires who haven't been properly onboarded or integrated into the culture. Meanwhile, those with 10 plus years of experience may feel that the company they joined has changed in a way that no longer reflects their values or expectations. And when a specific ethnic group, such as Hispanic or Latino employees, consistently report lower satisfaction, it points to a possible issue of inclusion, representation, or equality that must be addressed head-on. If we're serious about meaningful change, this data cannot be ignored. Another helpful insight would be asking further questions on psychological safety, like do you feel safe here taking risks? Tracking this metric over time can provide insight into whether safety and trust are actually improving across the teams. In addition, track innovation cycle time from the moment an idea is submitted to its first release. This reflects whether employees feel empowered to explore, test, and iterate. A decline in experimentation could indicate rising fear or stagnation. An increase suggests confidence and autonomy are growing. Together, these steps may feel overwhelming, but they are powerful. They move Spotify from reflection towards a forward motion, and I'm more than happy to guide you through this process. If these recommendations are implemented, Spotify can expect to see a higher employee engagement, an increase in innovation, stronger collaboration, and most importantly, a culture that supports strategy. I know this leadership team values action, so I've anticipated some of the questions you may be asking. Why invest in leadership now? Because the cost of doing nothing is far greater. In fact, an article by the International Coaching Federation says that coaching can increase employee engagement by 72%. This investment shows commitment and dedications to your employee, showing that you want to rebuild the structure and trust within the workplace. Why shift the structure? You're right, it worked to help you grow. But just as your business is growing, the structure needs to evolve with it. This isn't to replace what worked, but to adapt and refine it in order to meet the demands of your current stage of growth. How do we measure success? Success is measured by how well the organization supports innovation, retains talent, and cultivates a healthy, engaging culture. We assess this through engagement, innovation, retention, and feedback trends. Specific example include your employee net promoter score, innovation cycle time, culture audit themes, and attrition rates. These indicators help us track not just performance, but also the health of your organizational environment and the effectiveness of your leadership. Together, they provide a dynamic view of progress and guide data-driven decisions for sustained growth. Will structure kill innovation? Not at all. Coordination is about control and it's about clarity. Our goal is to enhance autonomy by giving it a sharper focus and direction. How can we do this tomorrow? Host a 30-minute open Q&A with leadership. Ask, what do we need to hear that we're not hearing? Then act on one item right away. Even a small step builds trust, but doing nothing intensifies the risk, damages morale, and increases disengagement, and potentially tarnishes the brand image from the inside out. Spotify changed how the world listens. Now it's time to change how it leads. You have the talent, vision, and innovation. What's missing is alignment. Thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to working together. And here are my references.